What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a new film that just dropped on Shudder that I believe had a limited theatrical run. And similar to another movie that I reviewed on Shudder recently, this film stars Nick Frost. And I believe Nick Frost also either wrote or co-wrote this movie, which is super cool because, as I've said before, one of my favorite films of all time is Hot Fuzz. Edgar Wright is one of my favorite directors. And him working with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, they've always been a big part of my life and my love for film. And so anytime Nick is a part of any project, I'm always really looking forward to watching it. And I knew virtually nothing about this movie before I went in to see it other than I saw the poster. So that was it. I just went in and watched this movie, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it today. And the movie that I'm going to be discussing is called Getaway. Getaway is directed by Steffen Haars. A family vacation to a remote getaway takes an unexpected turn when they discover the island they're on is inhabited by a serial killer. So I was really looking forward to watching this movie. Like I said, I really love Nick Frost, always look forward to whatever he's a part of. And what I will say, this movie isn't great by any means. It definitely has its entertaining moments. The problem is, the movie really relies on its plot twist, and the plot twist is so incredibly predictable that if you've watched like 15 movies in your life, you know exactly where it's going to go. And past the plot twist, it seems like they had no idea where they wanted to take the movie. So the end of the film, the entire third act, just feels sort of bland. And I'll talk about that all when I break the movie down for you today. So at the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to a family. Richard and Susan are the husband and wife, and their kids, Sam and Jesse, and they are all going on a vacation together to this remote island in Sweden where they're going to watch this performance of this like 8-hour long play that essentially recounts the area's history. But when they're on their way there, they stop at this restaurant. The people at the restaurant tell them like, hey, they're not going to want you there. These locals, they don't want outsiders to be a part of this ceremony. And they're just kind of like, we don't care. We're going there because it's our vacation. We're looking forward to it. So they get on this ferry with all of these locals, and you can just tell they do not want them there immediately. And they get across on the boat. The locals confront them and say, hey, we don't want you here. But the man who has rented them the house that they're going to stay at on the island says, oh, don't pay any attention to them. Just come stay at my house. So they get there. He seems to be a little off and weird, but the family really doesn't care. And so they start their vacation off together. Everything's seemingly fine until weird things start happening around the house and around the town with the locals. And the entirety of the film is the family notices something weird is going on, something strange in this community, and these people are acting very aggressively towards them. And the film takes us on the journey of this family, and will they survive this trip together? So like I said, this movie definitely has its entertaining moments, but the problem is it's very formulaic and predictable. Not all of the comedy necessarily works, and I think because of where the movie goes in the third act, it just sort of falls flat. It doesn't really go in a direction that I found to be all that interesting, and that's disappointing because there's a lot of promise here. And I want to start with the positives. For starters, I really liked all of the performances here. I feel like, Nick Frost is great in anything that he's in. I really like him as kind of like the clumsy, ditzy family man in this movie. He does a really great job with it. Like, he has this dialogue with his daughter at one point that I just thought was really hilarious, and their back and forth worked really well. And I thought the chemistry of the four actors, they did a really great job playing off each other on screen to give enough where it felt like a family, but there was a little bit of separation there as far as like the ages of the kids and everything, which made the movie work in those moments. I also liked the actors of the people in the community. There's a little bit of this that kind of made me think of Edgar Wright, just because of a lot of the cuts of the camera and the comedic dialogue delivery and just some of the ridiculous absurdity of some of the situations. I just think comparatively to something like Edgar Wright's Hot Fuzz or Shaun of the Dead or The World's End, it's just not as clever. The humor really isn't as poignant or witty or funny. It's like there was a lot of swings and a whole lot of misses in this movie, unfortunately. But there were a few times that it landed, and I think it's because of how committed all of these actors were to their roles. As far as the way the movie looks, it's shot shot relatively well. The movie looks nice. I feel like they paid a lot of attention to detail in like landscape shots, capturing this area of this island that they're on, kind of feeling the isolation of this family and knowing like once you're here, there's no way to get away. Like you have to stay here until another ferry comes, and there's no way to exit the island otherwise, which I think creates a little bit of tension, keeps you on the edge of your seat. There's a lot of really fast paced, quick edits here that kind of allude to things that are happening in the near future in the movie. And sometimes those worked really well, and sometimes I think they just kind of gave away a little bit too much early on. But I still think it's competently shot for the most part. Can't talk about all the gripes that I have with this movie without spoiling it for you. So if you want to go into this movie and watch it completely blind, just stop the review here, go on Shudder and check the movie out. But if you don't care, watch from here on out. I'm going to talk about spoilers. So the big spoiler of the movie is this group of family, they're serial killers, and they're traveling together to go on what they're calling a slaycation, and they're planning on murdering all the people in this island. And that's the big reveal of the movie, which is really similar to a film I watched on Tubi last year called Lowlifes, but I feel like the execution of the twist in that movie, it was so early on that it did a better job of kind of building tension throughout the rest of the movie when it comes to the stakes of the film and kind of shifting perspectives. In this movie, it's like the first thing that's introduced to you is the guy who runs the Airbnb is a creep. He's got all these like mirrors in the house the family can't see through. He's spying on them, he's creeping on them, dressing up in the daughter's clothing. And it's like, okay, first off, they're showing you that, and you're wondering, is he going to be the creep? Well, the tone of the movie, it's not sinister enough or overbearing enough for you to think that that's going to be the twist of the film, is that he's out to hurt this family. So when the big plot reveal of this family being the ones that are the killer is sort of dropped in your lap, everything else in the movie just feels very inconsequential. They just go on this really large killing spree. We learn little bits of information. It seems like they're connected in this other community of killers. They imply like the son isn't necessarily related to them, and the daughter might not really be related to them. Like they're paired up doing this together for a specific reason. A lot of the decisions of the islanders feel relatively nonsensical. People get shot or hit with a weapon. Like Nick Frost's character gets stabbed in the mouth at some point, and he just seems totally fine afterwards. Like he just kind of shakes it off and keeps going. And so some of the violence towards the third act just didn't make any sense, and it just wraps up relatively quickly to where I'm like, I don't think when they were writing this movie that they thought much about what to do with this premise other than have the people go on a massive killing spree. Which, it's like there's entertaining kill moments and there's funny moments for sure, but it just feels unearned. And it's like, I saw someone on Letterboxd say this, it's like this would probably be super entertaining if you've watched 6 movies in your entire life. Like the twist is just so predictable and formulaic. And the thing is, you can make a movie with a twist that isn't necessarily the newest or most inventive twist imaginable, but do it in a way that's like engaging. Do it in a way that the audience will play along with it even if they've already guessed it. And in this, it was just so bland after that. I just was kind of checked out. There were a couple of moments that I thought were really funny, but aside from that, I was just like, okay, this feels completely and totally unearned. And that's disappointing because I think there's 4 really solid performances here from the lead actors. I just wanted a whole lot more when it came to the execution at the end of the film. So have you seen Getaway? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie had some entertaining moments, but overall it's incredibly flawed, and I don't think the plot twist was earned. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.